So here's an example. The shrub on the left might look too big, but if you enlarge the bed and add lower story ferns, hostas, and hellebores, it might look like a nice centerpiece. Here we have shrubs that they're not too big, they're all the same size, which is big. And it might look better to take out one and add lower story, some nice low maintenance rocks that never get too big, and also some smaller growing shrubs and ground covers. Here the shrub on the left might look too big. Enlarge the bed and skirt it up and add lower story. And when you're designing, you should have plants so far apart that they look depressing to you. They're so sparse. That is the correct way to plant your landscape. You can make it look a little bit better now by putting your tree likes in the middle of the bed and surrounding them with low growing plants that will get shaded out. So overplant lower story plants, anticipating that the tree likes and some of the cane growers will overcome them, and also overplant ground covers to give you that feeling of satisfaction for now. So here's the pop quiz. You knew there was a pop quiz, right? Didn't I tell you that? Oh, well, here it is. So here's that initial slide of the overgrown garden. And your job is to fix this garden. On the left is a cane grower. It happens to be a forsythia shaved into the shape of a thermometer. Next is a mounding habit shrub that's over the window. Could be anything in the mounding habit category. Could be an escallonia, could be a choice. It happens to be a spreading yew that spread too much in the snow and we had to lash it together. Next to it is something in the tree-like category. Could be anything, but happens to be a rhodie. Next to it is a conifer on the other side of the door. That's an Alberta spruce. That's how big they get. And next to it is something in the mounding habit category. Behind it is a wall, but next to it is a shrub that's in front of a window. The mounding habit shrub could be anything that happens to be a very large, completely full-grown evergreen azalea. And next to it is something in the tree-like category that takes, this is a hint, takes heavy thinning or arborizing. And then there's this tree that my husband complains about it dropping leaves in the gutter. So what are we going to do? You have three choices: prune it, move it, or kill it. And three pruning choices: rad reno, grab and snip, or thin out or limb up. What are we going to do with the forsythia? Well, you could do a couple of things. How about a radical renovation? What about the shrub that's in front of the window? Well, we could transplant it. We could grab and snip it. There's a couple things you could do. How about that rhododendron? Do you think we should just whack it down and keep on top of it? Maybe not. How about the conifer? Let's cut it to 1 foot off the ground and make it like a brown donut on top, or a hockey puck. And then there's the mounding habit shrub. And there's the tree and the tree-like shrub. What would you do with that? How about cutting it to just the level of the sill? Maybe not. And should we top the tree to keep it under the gutter? I don't think so. Let me show you what I did. I did a rad reno. Then I did a grab and snip under the window. We moved the rhododendron. We actually put it in a holding pen. We got a big pile of mulch and just stuffed it in there for the time being while we do our garden. We killed the conifer, and we just left the azalea alone because even though it's big for an azalea, it fits the space quite nicely. And then we spent between 1 and 4 hours thinning out the pieris or the camellia. And it's not the perfect solution. But now I can kind of get some daylight through, and I'm looking at the branch structure. Little birds hop through. and I can kind of see what my neighbors are doing, but they can't quite look in at me. And I took off the lower limb of the little tree. And then we enlarged the beds and added lower story. Isn't that pretty? And in coming years, we will just have to grab and snip the shrub that's under the window. We'll have to do that about once a year. And every once in a while, we'll have to go rethin the tree like that's in front of the other window, although it won't be as big of a job. So the definition of good pruning is pruning that maintains or improves the long-term health of plants. If whatever you're doing makes it look good now, but makes it sick or look bad in the future, you should avoid that. And as a direct result, your pruning will get to be less and less every year. If you're pruning more and more every year, you probably have a design problem that needs to be fixed. And this is the most important slide of the slideshow. Has nothing to do with pruning. This is to let you know where tree roots really are. The one on the left is the picture in most people's minds, and it's inaccurate. The picture on the right is much more characteristic of trees. The roots are on the top 3 feet of the soil, and most of the feeder roots are in the top, or the fine roots, are in the top 3 inches. And there isn't a great big taproot holding the tree up. It's all these little roots and the sinker roots that hold the tree up. And why does this matter? This matters because of construction. If you're building a patio, a driveway, or running any sort of equipment under your tree, you need to stay out of that drip line. And now we have the non-educational portion of the show. This is called The Good, the Bad, and the Bizarre. It's based on the winners of our Ugly Yard photo contest, which we have every year. We judge it at the holiday party. You can send us a photo of a landscape you hate, and we will send you a valuable prize. We would not notify the yard owner. That would be rude. The categories are bad design, bad pruning trees, bad pruning shrubs, deadly dull, and bad design. I get some of the most interesting mail in the world. This one is called Come Out With Your Hands Up. This one is called Waiting for a Taller Ladder. It was like this for weeks, but somebody pointed out that this is a fire station and therefore they had a taller ladder. They did eventually finish it. Of course, now this tree is gone. This is short birch. There were 2 of them in the yard. They're gone. They've moved in an entire new set of victims. This one, you can't read the sign, but it says free wood. It's incredible what people do, isn't it? This is the elevated grass triangle, and that's what it is. It's an elevated grass triangle. It's kind of interesting, but it just must be hell to mow and water. This is the Disappearing House Act. That's English ivy. People fear their trees, but they really should fear their vines. It's now completely covered up. I think they have a meth lab back there. This is Happy, Happy, Happy. This is Yuck It Up, or Watch Out, Harry, it's eating the SUV. Kind of scary. Oh, that's Men's Club. That's a design problem for somebody. And I want you to know that if you hate bad pruning, your people have arrived. You now have a support group. It's called Plant Amnesty, and you can join for $25. You'll get a newsletter in the mail with tales of hope and tales of horror and interesting pruning information, and you'll feel better about the world. This video DVD has been made possible, believe it or not, with grant money from the Washington State Department of Natural Resources Community Forest Division and from the USDA Forest Service And they would very much like you to know that they are an equal opportunity employer. Thank you so much. This is Plant Amnesty to end the senseless torture and mutilation of trees and shrubs caused by malpruning.